Yo, what's going on, YouTube, and welcome back to Goal Line Hockey. It's your boy Kevin Forte, and today we are taking a look at the Anaheim Ducks as they're selecting third overall, pending some kind of trade. At this point, the draft order, the Anaheim Ducks sit third, and it kind of seems like at this point, unless something crazy happens here, it's expected to be San Jose taking Macklin Celebrini. Would have been nice for Anaheim, but that's okay. Second overall is expected to be Ivan Demidov going to the Chicago Blackhawks, so that leaves the Anaheim Ducks at the number 3 pick. And it seems like at number 3, that's where things kind of go off the board. There's a lot of different directions the Ducks can go. There's a lot of different players that are going to be available. We're going to quickly go over some of the players available, and of course, the thumbnail of today's video, why I think they should take Artem Levshunov. So we're going to go over all of that today in today's video. If you like this content, want to see more videos like this, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. And let's get into this. So let's start off with some of the interesting names that are on the board at this spot, because for the Ducks at number 3, they have the paradox of choice, right? Sometimes the best thing in the world is having choice. Looking back in the future, that might end up being one of the worst things, because what's going to end up happening is whoever they don't select, either at 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10, is going to be looked at as, the Ducks missed out on that one. And especially if their pick at 3 doesn't turn out, it's going to be all the worse. So hopefully that's not the case for the Ducks. But the number 3 selection in this kind of draft is kind of a toss-up. So what I'm thinking here is I'm going to look at it more of the positive side, because there's a couple of really good defensemen, specifically in the top 10 this year. There is 2 forwards we're going to go over today that are specifically in the conversation to go at this spot, but it's all over the place, so we'll get there. So we're going to start off with those forwards. Now, the thing is, the Ducks have a plethora of forwards. It's not like they necessarily need a forward. I mean, you look at Mason McTavish, Trevor Zegras. You look at all the younger guys that are still coming up in the system. This is a team in Anaheim that, to be honest with you, their issues are not up front. And even on the back end, they have some good, young, promising prospects on the blue line. But trading away Jamie Drysdale did eat away at that. And adding in Carter Gauthier more so makes it where they kind of don't need another forward there. Now, Caden Lindstrom is one of the players available in the top 10. He's projected to go in the top 10 as a forward. I just don't see the Ducks taking him because, like I said, it's one of those drafts where I think teams are going to go more based off of need than the difference in skill. I don't think Caden Lindstrom is regarded as such a better player than some of these defensemen that they have to take him. Let's put it this way, if Ivan Demidov ends up being there at number 3, I think the Ducks absolutely take him. Slam dunk, you take him. But in the reality, I think the Blackhawks will end up taking Demidov to play alongside Bedard. So that means, and considering the Blackhawks' depth on the blue line, I could see them taking Demidov, which means that third spot could end up being a guy like Caden Lindstrom or Berkeley Catton. Now, Berkeley Catton is another guy that a lot of people have really seen move up the charts. He played in the Western Hockey League with the Spokane Chiefs. He's a guy that could be interesting. But like I said, the most interesting one, if there's a forward, it's going to be Caden Lindstrom, who played with the Medicine Hat Tigers, also in the WHL. But I don't think they're going to go that direction. Now, what are some of the defensive options available? Because there's a couple of really good defensemen that are in the same category as Levshunov. And it kind of creates this controversy about which of these 3 defensemen should they take. So the first one we're going to go over is Anton Silyev. Now, Silyev's numbers are not that impressive in terms of his points. He had 11 points in 63 games. But again, he's not that type of defenseman, and he was playing in a men's league. He wasn't playing in the juniors with all these guys his same age. He's playing in a men's league. So Anton Silyev, it is in a different category of his own. But based off his development, that is a guy that I think has a lot of potential and a guy that I think is definitely on the radar for the Ducks at that number 3 spot. Now, the other defenseman we're going to look at here is Zeev Boyum. Now, Zeev Boyum is the complete opposite of Anton Silyev in terms of numbers. Because if you want to look at his points, in 42 games this season, he had 50 points. He had 39 assists, 11 goals, 52 points. So a really solid campaign for him. And Zeev Boyum is one of those defensemen that if you're looking at the offensive side of things, he's your guy. And that obviously, I think, is the biggest competition to Levshunov at the number 3 spot. And of course, Artem Lishenov is our player to look at today. Now, obviously, I have a soft spot for guys from the Big Ten, and playing at Michigan last season obviously creates more of that lore for me. He's still very young. He's still 18 years old, 6'2", 209 pounds. He's that right shot defenseman. We know those are in prime demand in today's NHL. Now, what's interesting about Lishenov is the fact that he's a Belarusian. He's from Belarus, but he ended up coming back to the States. He played in the USHL last season, and of course, he played his freshman season with the Michigan State Spartans this year. So it's one of those situations where you have a guy that's kind of been bouncing around a lot, but he's done well. And considering it was his rookie season at Michigan State, he had 35 points in 38 games, 9 goals, 26 assists, and he led Michigan State to the Big Ten championship. Now, they ultimately fell in that game to Michigan and the Michigan Wolverines. They were very close, though, to getting to the Frozen Four. They were so close, but they weren't able to complete that goal. Lishenov is one of those players that there aren't a lot of weaknesses, and I'll go over the one thing that a lot of people have been pointing out about Lishenov is his shooting. He's not a bad shooter in any way, but he's not the caliber of a shooter that is quite NHL ready yet. He's still got a lot of really good shots. I mean, you look at some of the goals he scores, he's blowing it past goalies and things like that, but it's more of that deceptive shot. Like, it's not a super fast or hard shot. He's able to, his ability to move the puck around a goaltender instead of shooting it into the goalie, he really goes out of his way to kind of almost that magical thing you see with McDavid where he just puts it in the right spot always where the goalie isn't. He is able to do something similar to that. But he does need to work on being a little bit more quicker with the shot. I think the release is one of his critiques, but still, I think when you watch him play, you're like, holy God, how did that go through? He just has that ability to deceptively put shots on net, and a lot of the times they go in. Another negative thing about him that a lot of people point out is he's a little bit anxious with the puck. He's got, a little bit of he'll hold it for that extra second that maybe he shouldn't. And in the NHL, we know how small the margins are in the NHL. That could very quickly turn into a turnover, and especially for defensemen, could turn into a very easy breakaway the other way. So that's something that he's going to have to work on. But overall, I think those are probably the two real negatives to his game. And other than that, it's all positives. What's interesting, I saw a clip of him playing Penn State. Of course, I love Penn State, but he ripped them apart this year. He scored a lot of goals against the Nittany Lions. But Lishenov is a very fast skater. His ability to transition is incredible, and dare I say, it reminds me a lot of a Miro Heiskanen or a Cale Makar or a Quinn Hughes, that type of defenseman. There is a play where one of his teammates is breaking it out, and they're at pretty much the middle of the ice, and he is in his own end, mind you, and all of a sudden, he shoots past like 3 or 4 players and has a semi-breakaway. He has that speed that is really important. Now, again, this is in the Big Ten, which is a good league, but it's all players of his own age and things like that. It's going to be different at the NHL level. That speed is definitely going to be muted a little bit at the NHL level, but man, you cannot deny he is a very fast hockey player. He has a ton of skill. He's great on his feet. He's fast. And in today's NHL, looking for puck-moving defensemen that can bring the puck in on their own, even if he's not. Like in this situation, he wasn't even bringing in the puck. He has that ability to really quickly transition and be a speedy defenseman. And that is in high demand today, especially as a right-shot defenseman, even more so. So Artem Lishenov, that is why I think the Anaheim Ducks should take him at the 3rd overall pick. Like I said, there's a lot of really good players in this draft. I mean, like I said, Berkeley Catton, Caden Lindstrom, Zeev Boyum, Anton Silyev, Zane Parekh is another one that is definitely in the conversation for taking that spot. Zane Parekh played with the Saginaw Spirit. He had some really good numbers. He had 96 points in 66 games. Again, he was playing in juniors in the OHL, but still, that's really good numbers, and that's something that, if we're really looking at it, that's something that is going to be in consideration for the Anaheim Ducks. But like I said, I think the Ducks have the paradox of choice. I think they're going to be able to decide who they take at that pick, which maybe in the future ends up coming back to bite them, but they can make a really good selection here. And like I said, I think Artem Lishenov is kind of an interesting choice here. A lot of people have been mixed about him. Another interesting thing here, I'll show you real quick. We're not watching Carolina. Another interesting thing based off of the rankings, a lot of people have him in the top 10, except one, which is, I think, the Hockey News. The Hockey News has him at 20, and they actually don't have that on here. But even Recruit Scouting has him at 10. And that's pretty much it. And like I said, the only one that had him at 20 was the Hockey News, which isn't on here. But everybody else pretty much has him in the top 10. Some have him at number 2. Some have him at number 3. Some have him at 5, 7. It's a little bit all over the place. But again, I think in this year's draft, there's just so much parity with all of these players in the top 10. It's going to be really interesting to see who ends up going where. But this pick is definitely the first pick in the draft that we're all going to be really interested in, because we just don't know who's truly going to go there. Nobody has solidified that third spot to be like, that is the third overall pick, and there's no doubt about it. That's not really the case this year. So let me know who you guys think the Anaheim Ducks should take at that number 3 spot in this year's draft. I'd love to know what you guys think. Guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you again next time. Peace out, guys.